So the NBA draft is fast approaching, and the Detroit Pistons are on the clock. Once again, they got the number 5 pick in the draft. And I know it has to be frustrating, but if I'm honest with y'all, number 5 has been damn good to the Detroit Pistons. Whether it's Asar Thompson, um, a year before, they got Jaden Ivey, I think at 4, right? They do really well in this area of the draft. We can't be mad at it. And I think the guy that they're going to need is going to be right there. I want to go through a few of the guys who I think could be valuable for the Pistons to pick up. And then I want to give you the guy that I personally think that they need to focus on and actually draft. The first one is Donovan Clingan. Donovan Clingan, I think he could be an excellent backup center, especially if they don't re-sign James Wiseman, or even if they do. Donovan Clingan is somebody I think people want to compare him to Walker Kessler, but I don't think he's as durable as Walker Kessler, and that's probably one of the negatives on him. I don't think anybody thinks he's a 30 plus minute per game player, right? I think he's always going to be a backup center or like a Kayvon Looney, where he looks really good in limited minutes, but you don't want him out there too long. His body just isn't built like that. He's already about 280 pounds. He's already really heavy footed. Imagine Zadrunas Ilgauskas, right? He's just not somebody you want playing a lot of minutes. And so I'm okay with bringing him in to be a long term backup. What I love about him is and this is what I love about all the guys I'm going to bring up, is that they're ready to contribute right now. I don't think the Detroit Pistons need to bring in anybody who needs to be developed, right? I don't think they need to bring in anybody who needs time to get their body in shape, right? To figure out what their game is, right? They need people who can come in and contribute immediately, especially on the defensive end, right? Who know who they are on the offensive end and play their game. And that's who they need so they can plug them in on the bench immediately. What I also love about Klingon is that he's a really good facilitator. He can pass the ball really well, similar to a Jalen Duren, but he also is a defensive quarterback. He's somebody that, similar to most great bigs, they have a high IQ on the defensive end. They know where everyone's supposed to be, what the scheme is, and how to be in the right position to not just help, but also to defend their man and defend the rim. And I think that Klingon can do that from day one. So I'm not mad if they draft him, but that's not my guy. The next guy that I want to focus on, oh, and also Donovan Clingan does a great job on setting screens and rebounding. I think he's really solid there, but I don't think he'll be as strong as he was in NCAA in the pros from day one. I digress. The second guy I want to take a look at is Matas Buzelis. I really like his game on the defensive end. I think he's got Franz Wagner type of potential on the defensive end. I think he's about another year away from getting his body strong enough, but I think he offers that defensive versatility in the front court and on the wings coming off the bench. When Asar Thompson goes to the bench or when he's hurt, they have almost nobody who can defend on the perimeter, especially at the wing. And I think that that really hurts the Detroit Pistons, and it puts a lot of pressure on Asar. So I think one of the things that they need to do is bring in somebody who can play that role for them. And I think Matas Buzelis can. Now I'm a little concerned with his body physically. If he's ready for NBA minutes, he'll be coming in off the bench, so I think it'll be okay for him. But I don't know if he's necessarily as confident as you might want him to be. He was in the Rising Stars game and he had a really good showing, right? He hit that game winning shot. It looked really good. Keep in mind, once again, the G League are is comprised of NCAA All Stars. So the competition level is way higher than it is in the NCAA. If he had gone to Kentucky or Kansas, right, he might have been a definite lottery. He would have looked amazing, right? But he didn't. And so more of his holes were exposed, especially around his shooting or lack thereof in shot creation that wasn't quite ready for that level. Now, at the end of the day, I'm okay with that. I'm all right. But I still don't think he's the one for them. I think the person who is the one, and this is my guy here, is Ron Holland. I said in an earlier video that what I loved about Ron Holland is first and foremost his motor. His motor. I think Norris Cole said it best. He said, "Your motor is a skill. To be able to go hard all the time, to be able to be locked in, and you're always giving 100% energy. That is a skill that not everybody has. and it transfers extremely well to the NBA. Remember, they said the NBA is a young man's league, especially throughout an 82 game season. You need guys similar to a Josh Hart who are going to go hard the whole time. You don't have to motivate them. You don't have to yell at them. You don't have to criticize them. You know they're going to give you 100% energy, which means the moment that the other team lets up, they run right past them. And that's the next part that I want to point out about Ron Holland's game is he's amazing in transition. He's a blur at about 6'7", 6'6" and change without shoes, but he's about 6'7", right underneath 6'8". He is great in transition. He's a smooth athlete who's very explosive, who can play high above the rim, and he has really good finishing when he's getting downhill at the rim. I think he's somebody that can really help out once again off the bench because outside of Asar Thompson, they don't have a wing that can really fly, that can play defense and get out there in transition and get them easy buckets. And as I said in the other video, that needs to be a fundamental part of the foundation of offense for the Detroit Pistons if they're going to turn things around. Having a guy off the bench who can spell Asar Thompson without you losing that transition offense, I think is going to be huge. The next part of his game that I really like is his defense. He is an absolute dog on defense. He loves defense. We all heard Anthony Edwards when the Denver Nuggets and Jamal Murray was talking trash, and he was like, "Man, we love to hear it. We love that. We love that." And then he clarified. He said, "Well, I love that," meaning not everybody loves that. And that's real. Not everybody loves the intensity of defense. Not everybody loves that trash talking back and forth where guys are competing and saying, you know what? Yeah, you may have got one up on me. I'm coming right back at you. Not everybody has that. There's some cats out there, I'm gonna use the word, real soft. Once somebody scores on them, they go into their shell. They look like a roly poly and they just roll up and let the team roll over them because oh he shook me with a crossover or a James Harden step back. Oh, he's so cool. So I guess I'm just gonna concede that he's better than me. Yo, that's weak to me. That's weak. And so when you see a dog coming into the draft and he's like, yo, I don't care. You get a bucket on me once. I bet you won't get the same bucket on me twice. I bet you I'll figure you out. I bet you I'm gonna get you more times than you're gonna get me. That's the type of player that you want on your team, especially when you're rebuilding, because they're culture setting individuals. And when you got guys like Cade Cunningham, who sometimes is a little bit lackluster in his energy and his effort on that end, and guys like Jaden Ivey who can wane in between his defensive focus, you want somebody coming in off the bench, especially next to a Marcus Sasser and Quentin Grimes, who's like, yo, we about to get after it. We're about to get after it. We're about to be slapping the floor, getting into a stance, getting up into him. Now, the next part that I love about Ron Holland's game is his offense. He's a downhill slashing scorer. He's a natural scorer, though. It's not something that you have to figure out, right? He's much like a Marcus Sasser. He knows what he does. He knows his bag, right? He's more of a mid-range guy than he is a perimeter shooting guy, and I'm okay with that. When you have a smooth shooting jump shot, that's money from mid-range and from the free throw line, it generally bodes well for you to extend your range eventually. And playing next to Marcus Sasser and Quentin Grimes and Simone Fontecchio, there's going to be more than enough shooting off the bench. Having somebody like Ron Holland, who's athletic, can get out in transition, and then when he is in a position where he has to create or there's an opportunity to create, he knows his shot package already. He knows his pull-up J. He knows how to get to the rim, and his type of athleticism and size is something that he's going to be able to utilize immediately in the NBA, especially coming off the bench. I also love that he's physically NBA ready. He's already at about 218, 220 pounds at 6'7". He doesn't have the long wingspan, but he uses his length really well in combination with his intensity, his motor, his speed, and athleticism. He can get steals, he can get deflections, he can get loose balls, he'll dive on the floor, he'll get rebounds out of his area, right? And that's how he maximizes his size, similar to Asar Thompson. And so I think Ron Holland is probably the perfect fit for these Detroit Pistons. I think he's going to come in immediately. He's going to bring energy. He's going to bring defense. He's going to bring more of that dog mentality that's going to motivate Cade and Ivy. And what I love also about him is his ceiling. I think it's probably the highest of anybody in the draft, probably outside of, let's say, a Alex Sarr, right? His ceiling if he gets that 3 point jump shot down and smooths out his scoring efficiency, this is a 24 to 26 points per game scorer. This is a guy who's going to be able to get you buckets in the crunch time. This is a guy who looks fearless out there, who has the physical positional size at 6'7", 220 pounds. He has the athleticism. He has the natural strength and feel for the rim to be able to get his shot off and to get baskets. He also has the confidence and that competitiveness that, let's say, if he does really gain his confidence and get his footing in his rookie year, you might start looking at Jaden Ivey like, could this guy be better than you in the starting lineup? In fact, Caden Ivey can be out, and you might have that bench mob in there like, man, can these guys close? Because if I got Marcus Sasser and I've got Ron Holland creating their own shots and playing great defense, I might just let this thing roll because they're going to be able to create their shots even against starters. And so this is the type of depth that it's going to bring to the Detroit Pistons, which is something that they lacked last season, mostly because of injuries, but also something that you want moving forward. You want options, you want depth. And that's how teams have been able to turn things around quickly. And so I think Ron Holland definitely is the pick for them. But as always, I want to know what you all think. Get at me in the comments section. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'm going to get at y'all next time. Peace.